Hello! Game 3. Game day. Pre-game at 6. Puck drop after 8:30. Jets, Blues, Cam Poitras, Jim Toth. Jim, how are you?
Game day, baby. I know that you said that softly after 8:30. You've been spoiled, Cam. You've been spoiled in the central time zones with a 6 p.m. or 5 p.m.
So much
and
to
a
ask.
6:30 p.m.
So much to ask for.
I can
just
hear it
normal,
in your voice.
regular start times.
5-star whiskey voice with your cold will get you through. You take a shot of 5-star whiskey, you'll be like this tomorrow. You'll be jumping around.
It's the
home remedy.
The boy's not sleeping.
Oh, no. That's selfish.
I got a little
him.
bit of a cold.
Does he not know it's playoff time?
He doesn't care.
Have a sleep.
He's unaware of the playoffs. He doesn't know anything about the Jets. He doesn't know about the show. He's got like 5 things on his mind. But he's crafty, I'll tell you that.
Even me, I had something come over me 2 nights ago and then yesterday. But then by the afternoon, I was like, they go, that's why they call it a 24-hour. And I'm like, really? Because it felt like 100 hours.
Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash. It won't end. It won't end.
When will it end?
When will it end? Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line and win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method, 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the program, which is, of course, coming at you live from the Boston Pizza studio. Celebrate the whiteout at Boston Pizza, your go-to place for the playoffs.
And if you want to go to Boston Pizza, sorry to interrupt, Richard Kluche going to be at Boston Pizza Henderson Highway today to do the news and talk some sports.
I've been there many, many a times.
And crush that triple pepperoni pizza for playoff time.
That whole pizza's not just for you, Rich. It's for the table.
Give a little. Get a lot.
Lots to get to on the show here. We're going to touch on the Dallas-Colorado series. Went to overtime again. Tyler Seguin scores the winner. We'll touch on that. Gabriel Landeskog, of course, making his return through 6 hits. 13 or so minutes. Pretty impressive for a guy.
Easy, Gabe. Ease yourself back in.
You're going to get yourself into trouble. We'll discuss that. Of course, we got to talk about the Oilers. They got blitzed. 6 goals against.
That's a shame.
Pretty devastated about that result. But we'll touch on that too as well. And from the start, we'll replay some audio from the start. The Athletics' Jeremy Rutherford, who does a great job covering the Blues for the Athletic in St. Louis. He had some great comments about the physicality of the St. Louis Blues and how it's kind of been working against them. But we'll play that when we get to it after 12:30. But first, morning skate. The Winnipeg Jets just went out on the ice at 12 o'clock at the Enterprise Center. Connor, Scheifele, Iafallo, Niederreiter, Nemestikov, Perfetti, Tanev, Lowry, Appleton, Gustafsson, Barron, Jared Anderson, Dolan. Toninato also out there. He's been traveling with the team, as is Gabriel Velarde, who remains in his non-contact jersey today. Morrissey, DeMello. DeMello did take a maintenance day yesterday, but he is still okay. Sandberg and Pionk, Stanley and Shen. Connor Hellebuck starts, so no changes to the lineup. That's not a surprise, Jim Toth.
No, and I think a lot of people were wondering about Velarde, but up 2-0 and still non-contact. That's what he said.
You think Game 4? Because there's 2 days in between. It's all going to be how he practices too. I don't think it's set in stone. I think the idea was, okay, we'll see Game 4, but I don't think it's like a guarantee. Why?
Yeah,
Why would it?
I mean, if you're up 3-0, you'd give him that. But the other part of this is you want to get him a game, right? There's no perfect time to get him a game is if you're up 3-0, and hopefully this series is over in 4 or 5 at the most, and then you get him a game or 2 heading into the next series. But again, if he's 100%, he'll go. If he's not, he won't. But I think the 2-0 buys you some time. I also think this is ominous for Nick Ehlers. This week to week, I think is 4 to 6 weeks.
This was just
my opinion.
This was me reading the tea leaves, Jim, because the day before, Scott O'Neill came out and says, all you guys are going to get from me is day-to-day. That's all you're going to get from me is day-to-day. And he was kind of joking and laughing about it. He had a smile on his face. The next day he came out and said Nikolai Ehlers week-to-week. That's when I was starting to say, week-to-week might be something a little bit longer than week-to-week. But we don't know.
4 to 6 weeks.
Week-to-week is general.
And it's been maybe 2. So maybe third round, maybe if they get that far. But I mean, look, why would you change the lineup?
I don't know. I hopefully soon. He's got to get on the ice, though. He's not skating yet. That's what I know for sure.
So that's what we know. And of course, Kelly Moore at 6:30 with the 680 CJOB pregame show. We'll have a lot more, but will be fascinating. Look, the lineup's the same. I think they're rolling right now. I think a little bit of the nerves come off this series. It'll be a hostile environment. I think the St. Louis Blues crowd is going to – I saw they had a bunch of blue towels on all the seats in the arena.
What
there.
a bunch of copycats.
Yeah, there you go. We're leading the way, and people are following along. But
the rally towels,
the rally towels, yeah.
Forever. It's like the Winnipeg Jets do not lay claim to the rally towel.
No, but I think this is St. Louis is going to come, and I think they're going to come heavy and hard today. I think they're going to come out physical, but they do need to play hockey, right? They need to get some goals here, is what they need. And so with only one in the last game, now the Jets only scored 2, but I think it's going to be, I'm interested in 2 things here. I'm interested to see how the Jets come out from the start. They haven't had good starts in the last 2 games, but I think the nerves of the whiteout are gone. I think they've got 2 wins under their belt. I think they can relax a little bit, but relax, I don't mean in physical play or anything like that. I think they have to come out and play their game, but I don't think there's a lot of second guessing. The other thing I'm interested to see is Logan Stanley. It was interesting, right? For a guy who said he's good at what he does and stop harping on him all year. I'm the one pulling the reins back. I thought he had a great, fantastic game in game 2, but the Logan Stanley I've been watching often, tries to do a little bit more than he's capable of whenever he has a good game. So I'm interested to see how he plays tonight as well, and that third pairing and how much. But it is what it is. I think Connor Hellebuyck has settled in now. I think on the road that you'll see probably his best game of the series, I would think. But I'm fascinated by what St. Louis does to try and counterpunch here.
I just took a quick look. Nikolai Ehlers last played in the game against Chicago on April 12th. Of course, it's the 24th today, so it's been 12 days. It will be 2 weeks on Saturday.
I think he's 2 weeks away, and then he gets on the ice, and then it's week to week.
Well, we'll wait and see.
But I think it's 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, we'll wait and see.
But we'll wait and see.
We'll wait and see. Josh Morrissey spoke yesterday before the Winnipeg Jets headed off to St. Louis. And you talk about on the road, Connor Hellebuyck settling in. Why are the Jets? Hey, they led the league they led the National Hockey League in road wins, 26. Here's Josh Morrissey on why he thinks the Jets have been so successful. They were successful at Canada Life Center, but also away.
Everyone on the road plays against everybody with, the way the matchup shake out and not having last change. So I think our depth, our structure, obviously being prepared to play on the road, all those things. But, when you go on the road, sometimes it's easier to just simplify your game. And, I think that's something we've done a good job of. So playoffs, we're going to have to continue to try to do the same things that made us successful on the road this year.
St. Louis, 12-game winning streak at home. Haven't lost at home since. They lost to the Jets in a shootout coming out of the Four Nations face-off. Last change. Josh Morrissey spoke about last change. This is something we bring up a lot more in the playoffs than we do in the regular season. Is that because the margin of error in the playoffs is so much narrower that we tend to discuss players, media members, coaches talk about that last change? I mean, Jim Montgomery was the first guy to bring it up.
Yeah.
After losing game 2. Is it an over talked about phrase?
No, I don't think so. I think that when I was watching the first 2 games of this series, and look at the game winning goal in game 1. They get a face-off in the Blues end, and they get the last change. They bring out the heavy crew, and the Blues knew who was going to come over in that scenario, but they run a set play and they get it done, right? Watching Scott Arniel, I've seen the odd time that it's come over. I think the reason we don't talk about it a lot here in Winnipeg is because the Winnipeg is a lineup that can match up. Like Winnipeg is a third line that can go up against any top line. The top line can go up against other top lines. You bring out the second line in opportunities, and then the fourth line has played great. That's maybe over the first 2 games, the least talked about factor in this series is how good the fourth line has been for the Winnipeg Jets.
When Gabriel Velarde gets back in the lineup, the fourth line is just going to get better.
Alex Iafallo is going to go down.
It's just going to it's going to be better.
Yeah, and I think because Alex Iafallo is on it, it plays even more.
Yeah,
and so then it's out there a little bit more often. So I just I think it's interesting about Jared Anderson-Dolan, who I thought's played well, and what you do with him. But Barron in the middle has looked great since that's happened.
Yeah.
And David Gustafsson, he hasn't been talked about much, but he's been dangerous and he's created some stuff.
Yeah, he's been great on the boards too as well.
Yes, forecheck and everything.
He's been excellent there. Barron that was like almost out of necessity. It's like, well, we don't want to move him out. We brought Tanev in here for a reason. But like Barron, can he play center? And
has nobody in his career at that size thought of this? I assume they have. Yeah, and maybe it didn't go well with the Rangers organization.
Yeah, he's had to have played center at some point in his career. but like he's taken to it like a frog in a swamp.
I mean, the deflections and the traffic in front of the net, that's the other thing he does well, right? Is not just this playing at center, but he's really good at getting in front of the net and causing some distraction. So,
like a baby turtle to water.
What do you think happens tonight? Do you think they go up 3-0? Because I think this series, the Jets win in 5, I said.
I will say this. I think they split this.
Okay.
So I don't know if they win today. I don't know if they lose today, but I think they split these two games in St. Louis.
Right. They got to get the power play working.
Yeah. I mean, do I think the Jets win this game? Yes, but I think they split them.
I'm with you. I think they win one of these next two. I don't know if it's this one or in game 4, but I'll be honest, the way they've played, and I know it's been 1-goal games, well, with the empty netter, but I think they can sweep this.
It's been 1-goal games, but just watch the third periods. It's like when they get the lead. I mean, that's it's a 1-goal game.
As I said, I thought it'd be 5 games. I didn't think the series would be close, but I thought the games would be. That's a proud team over there, though. And Jim Montgomery's such a good coach.
He's such an excellent coach.
But that's what I'm watching, like the physicality of it. Kyrou disappeared after that Stanley hit. I don't mean disappear, but he got rid of the puck a lot sooner than he usually does. He didn't want to carry it as much.
The Blues are working. They're working. There's no doubt about that. And they're engaged. They're all pulling on the rope. But when the Jets can just pull together third periods like that, and you can't literally get anything going, it's tough to win a hockey game, regardless if you're up 2-0, 3-0, or 1-0. Let's take a break. Let's come back. On the other side, we made a promise a few days ago. Aims to keep it. We'll discuss that after 12:30. But after this,
promised me.
Have we seen the last of Stuart Skinner?
I haven't seen Stuart Skinner yet.
We'll be right back.
At noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Call the Boston Pizza Jets at Noon hotline, open 24/7, 204-780-6800. Celebrate at Boston Pizza, Canada's go-to place for the playoffs. The number one caller that calls into the hotline will be awarded a $50 gift certificate to Boston Pizza tomorrow on Friday.
Tomorrow, Boston Pizza GC.
So roll up that hotline. You know what I want to hear? I want to hear the winner will likely be who calls in with the best call after the game tonight.
Okay, yeah. So we get those at night. Those roll in. So as soon as the game's done, pick up and give us your thoughts.
204-780-6800. That's very likely going to be the winner.
That's when it's fresh after the game.
Absolutely.
We've gotten some doozers right after the game.
Yeah. Like Terry calls us all the time.
Terry,
Terry was fighting his dog, I think.
The dog got in the way of the call.
I know you're listening, Terry, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Chief went at him.
Chief.
In the middle of a conversation.
Settle down, Chief. I got a point to make with the boys. Take it easy, Chief.
We'll be right back. Wow, welcome back. The Jets at Noon. Jim, how you doing? Good. Yeah. It's great that you're here today. Really enjoy. Oh, really? Yeah. Jim Toth, everybody. Jim Toth. Really, Jim? Oh.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, there you are. Were you here? I thought you were here this whole time. I must be hearing things.
You just have to look up.
Oh.
I'm right here.
Oh, okay.
Look way up. Let's call Rusty.
Up at the tippy top, eh?
I was lost in that Steve McMichael clip. Former Bear, of course. Loved Mongo.
Passed away, 67.
Passed away with ALS.
Yeah.
I just went into the Hall of Fame. But where on August 7th, 2001, he was doing the 7th inning stretch at your beloved Cubs game. And he called out umpire Angel Hernandez. Before we get to the song, maybe we'll get some better umpiring tonight. Just been terrible or whatever. And Angel Hernandez took his mask off and looked up at him. He's like, yeah, you.
Angel Hernandez had no sense of humor. That's
he had no sense of a strike zone either.
That's why no one liked him. Anyway. But he stuck around for a long time.
He just retired last year, didn't he?
Yeah, just this last year. There was many campaigns to have him retire.
For years and years and years, he was, and the ratings are your calls, the worst rated umpire, and yet he lasted like 30-some years.
Yeah, that's what it is. The way
now,
it
if
is.
we get bad ratings, we don't last at all.
Jets and
Angel Hernandez left lasted forever.
Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line to win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method. A ticket to romance. 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the program, which is coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio. Celebrate the whiteout at Boston Pizza, your go-to place for the playoffs. We'll still get to the Oilers. We'll get to Dallas and Colorado. We'll get to that thing I promised. I promise we'll get back to it. What am I talking about? You're going to have to wait and find out. But there was a great conversation on the start this morning with Greg Mackling and Brett McGarry on 680 CJOB here. And it was with Blues writer for The Athletic, Jeremy Rutherford. And Rutherford spoke about the physicality of the series so far. And kind of wondered out loud if that physicality is working for the Blues at this moment.
Braden Shen, the captain of this team, had 8 of those hits in the first period. The Blues had 24 hits, I believe, in the first period. They finished the game with 53. You know, I think a guy like Braden Shen, that's his style of game. But also, if you go back to that 2019 season that we referenced, they really out-physicaled. I'll make up a word if we're making up words. The San Jose Sharks in the series that got them into the Stanley Cup final. And so they really feel like you have to wear teams down if you want to have a chance to move on in the postseason. And so I know they've tried to go that direction in this series. The only thing is, you can play physical the entire game, but if you allow those players like Connor to get wide open, which he tends to do, they can win the game, and it doesn't matter how many hits you've finished with. So that's, to me, what's going to be interesting about tonight's game is I'm sure the Blues are going to be amped up. I'm sure they're going to have the crowd, going as well. But if the Blues are just focused on hitting the Jets, I don't know that they're going to have success. They've got to, just like Pavel Buchnevich said yesterday, they've got to play hockey.
Yeah, and so the first game, St. Louis out-hit the Jets 53-33, which 53 hits in a game is crazy.
Yeah, that's
the second game, the Jets actually out-hit the Blues 33-29. So the Blues have out-hit the Jets over the course of the series 82-66 over the first 2 games. Now, continuing on with those thoughts there, Rutherford continued on, and he had a really interesting stat, Jim, and I want you to hear this.
If you look at the Blues' top players, Thomas, Buchnevich, Jimmy Snuggerud, those guys on that top line, they were hit 4 or 5 times by the Jets in Game 2, and if you throw in the Blues' second line in there too, those top 6 players were hit a combined 9 times. Look at the Jets players, Scheifele, Connor, Iafallo, they were hit combined, this is a total number, once in Game 2. So, if the Blues are going to do some hitting, it's going to have to be on the players who are doing the damage, and I think they're aware of that after talking to them yesterday in practice.
That is very interesting to me. They're not getting to the guys that they want to get to.
Well, and look, hitting usually, the team that has the most hits is usually the team that doesn't have the puck as much, usually. But I think that too, you have to, that's why I'm interested by tonight's game, is because they haven't played poorly, the St. Louis Blues, but you have to come up with something here. And I wonder if it's a physicality. I wonder if Jim Montgomery goes start finishing these checks, start keying on these guys, make life miserable for them, right? Like that's what you do in playoffs is you take the key players, you circle their numbers on the whiteboard in the room, and you say, make sure that these guys, you finish all your checks on and make them miserable by the end of the series. Hopefully you feel it. The response of that is how is Jordan Kyrou going to play tonight? Because he got absolutely crushed by Logan Stanley, and then I just thought he didn't hold the puck as long as he usually does. He wasn't trying to make as many plays as he usually does. That's what hitting does, right?
Yeah.
So I think that, and you don't have to be bone-crushing, jarring ones like that, but you have to make them think by the third period when your body's wearing down and you're getting tired that, here comes another hit. You have to make them think that as part of it. The key is to not do it so it takes you out of any play.
Yeah. That's the key there. And if their aim is to be physical, but they're not going up against the guys that they want to be going up against and hitting those guys and making it tough on them, well, you're sort of making it tough on yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, it's a fascinating thing because you watch the Oilers and the Kings, and you're like, you've got to fix your penalty kill.
Yeah.
You've got to fix the way you're defending. It's atrocious. And that's something you work on. If you're the Jets, you're sitting here, what do you got to do better? I don't really know. Like, they've done a lot of good things.
Well, power play's got to get better.
Power play for St. Louis has worked, though. They've gotten 2 power play goals in 2 games.
I'm saying for the Jets.
Oh, yeah, for the Jets. I'm looking at the St. Louis.
Yeah.
Like, my point to this is you look at some of the other series and who's down, and you can go really clearly, this is what you got to get better at.
Yeah.
If you're the Blues, like, the Blues are drawing lots of penalties. Their power play has a goal in each game.
Yeah. 3 or 4 goals that they've scored.
Maybe that's why Rutherford's talking about the physicality of this, is you're not making it hard on their best players or nearly hard enough. I would imagine they want to get more traffic on Hellebuck, but I thought they've done a good job of that too. It's just not the series that you can sit here and go, this is what they're doing poorly, and that's been the difference so far. So I wonder if St. Louis, we got to be more physical.
They have to, if you're St. Louis, you got to play with speed. You got to get past the Jets, right? Because you can't, if the Jets go out and they get the first goal, like St. Louis, to me, they have to get out and they got to get a lead and they got to add on to it. If they're going to find a way to win this game, they got to, by the end of the first period or, midway through the second, they got to be up 3-1, 2-0 or something like that. If the Jets come out there and they get a couple, it is going to be a real slog for the Blues to try and dig themselves into that game.
And with the last change, you might be able to get more physicality on Scheifele and Connor. And like, instead of, especially a face-off in the Jets end, you might not put out the Thomas line, or you might not put out Shen. You go with maybe some physicality and go win this face-off. And if you don't, make sure you lay the body down. But that's part of the matchup game, right? So that's why it'll be interesting to see what they think that they need to do better and come out and do it.
I'm going to fulfill my promise. Our promise. You also promised. You said we were going to talk about. You said we were going to talk about this yesterday, but you weren't here.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's talk about this.
Mark Scheifele and Joel Hofer. The situation in the pregame warm-up. Both of them were on the ice. I think Kelly Moore had the exact numbers, so I'm not going to quote him, but it was over 2 minutes. It was well over 2 minutes. It wasn't like 3 minutes or anything like that, but it was well over 2 minutes. And that's me paraphrasing Kelly Moore's. He said there was a reliable source, and they were out there too long, essentially.
I was at game 1, and they were out there, and Hofer fired a puck into the Jets' net in game 1.
Yeah.
And Scheifele just didn't. Now he was doing it again in game 2, but there was more than just Hofer out there in game 1 after the final buzzer for warmups.
Mark Scheifele, of course, everybody knows this is. He likes to be out there. He likes to be the last person off the ice. It's just part of his routine. So Mark Scheifele starts with Judy Owen's question about the end of pregame warm-up standoff in game 1 and 2.
Joel Hofer was staying on late with you and shooting pucks towards you. I mean, how irritating was that for you?
Not very, to be honest. I like to be off last. It's not a thing that really comes into my brain. I know the league and the Zamboni guys and the guys that take care of the ice. It's more it's more about them to get the ice ready for the game. So obviously it's something I've done for my whole career. So I just kind of wanted to get off the ice for the Zambonis guys to be able to get out there and do their job properly and didn't do a whole lot. I thought it was more funny than anything.
How did that start, wanting to be the last guy on the ice?
I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even have an answer for you. It's just something I did, and it's kind of, I think I did rock paper scissors with Segs, a number of years ago. It's just, I don't know. You had some weird quirk about me, but all in good fun.
So the league hasn't made a public comment on the incident, though head coach of the Winnipeg Jets, Scott Arniel, expected the league to wade into the pool. They may have. I'm sure there was a phone call or two that were made to both teams.
Oh yeah.
Arniel said, I think the league is going to have something to say about this. I'm sure we're going to hear about it. It affects when the Zamboni is coming out on the ice. That's the stuff the league does not want. So I don't expect some sort of public comment coming from the league. There probably was just a phone call that said, hey, they're not going to put out a public statement that says, in the future, we determined that it is unacceptable for players to stay past this, and there will be fines levied if they remain out there for X amount of things. And I just think that it's just I think there was just a phone call that just said, quit it.
I think both GMs got a call that said, we have national start times. The Zamboni needs to get out. When that clock hits 0, get your guys off the ice. Now, this being said, he's a proud Winnipegger. I like Joel Hofer.
Yeah.
Made me very proud as a Winnipegger and Canadian when he played for the World Juniors. I wish him all the luck. But if his parents and family are listening now, you need to teach your boy some manners. You need to get some discipline in that child. Yeah. He's 24 years old. He's not at home. This isn't his house. You don't stay too long at somebody else's house. It's rude.
Can you appreciate what he's doing, though, a little bit?
Maybe why should I have to get up the next day? Why are you hanging around so late?
See, he's a backup goalie. He's not going to have an impact in the game. Binnington, unless he gets chased, he's not going to be in the net. Is he going to get in? Is he getting into Scheifele's head or trying to do that? I don't know.
I tell you something right now. When my son's at somebody's house, I said pick him up at 4. I don't show up at 4:04. I show up at 4. They might have something to do. It's not my house.
I don't expect this to continue.
Get your son in line. Now, Hofers, if you want to call and actually talk about the series, we'd love to have you. I'm just being ridiculous with you, but we're proud of your son.
Well, my mom is a Hofer, as everybody knows. My mom's last name is Hofer.
Well, clean it up.
She's from I'm actually related to Joel somewhere down the line.
Well, give him a call.
Yeah.
I'm related to Ryan Reynolds. I call him all the time.
He's like, yeah, you guys are always talking.
He never gets back to me ever, but whatever.
Well, Jim, all those years when he was trying to make it in Hollywood, you could have at least answered some of his text messages.
I didn't have a cell phone back then. Didn't care to.
You were right.
But look, this is gamesmanship, right? I think it's a little, and I'm in all seriousness, I think it's stretching a little bit much.
I would agree with you on that.
I don't care if you stay out and stare at each other. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But the NHL would have a problem when it gets to 2 and 3 minutes if that Zamboni's not cleaning the ice for a puck drop on time. The second thing is you don't fire pucks at the net. You can stay out as long as you want and dangle and have a stare off. But when you fire pucks at somebody's net, that's a fight. That's when guys in my day came back out from the locker room.
Well, I would agree with that.
Let's get Mike Keane on about this. If back in the day the Bruins fired a puck at his net during warmups.
Yeah.
So that's the interesting part of this. A, they stayed out too long. But B, if you fire pucks at my empty net after a warmup, you're asking for something.
Yeah.
Again, teach your boy some manners. Clean it up.
204-780-6868, 204-780-6868.
Just kidding, Hofers. You're lovely people.
Let's squeeze this in here. Before we take a break, we'll talk about Dallas and Colorado on the other side. 6-2 loss for the Edmonton Oilers yesterday. Stuart Skinner, 810 save percentage over the first 2 games, a 6.11 goals against average. And it's just 2 games. Over the course of the season, he was sub 900. He was 896, and he was a 281 goals against average. Watching those goals scored on him last night, I think it would be unfair to characterize them as entirely Stuart Skinner's fault.
Yeah, the defending was off.
The defending was terrible. Turnovers, bobbled pucks, missed assignments, lackadaisical defense, I think, particularly one you definitely pointed out from Evan Bouchard.
Let Byfield walk right to the net.
Regardless, have we seen the last of him? We only got 30 seconds.
I'll go real quick then.
Yeah, real quick.
Go back to the start of the playoffs. I said, I don't know how you're not starting Pickard.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can consciously put in, other than the fact that we need you here, Stuart, let's go. I'll go back to the trade deadline. A 31-year-old goaltender in Anaheim named John Gibson, who's refused to move his no trade, at the deadline said, I'll be willing to leave Anaheim for 2 teams, Edmonton or Carolina, because those are teams I think need goaltending and I'll actually play. Edmonton's response at the trade deadline or after was, no, we're not addressing goaltending. We believe in Stuart Skinner. There goes your season. Management decision. I don't know how you don't go out with term left on that deal and bring in John Gibson. I don't know. He had a 912 save percentage in Anaheim and a 2.73 goals against average. You reap what you sow. Poor management. Your season's going down the toilet because of it.
Is the Jets' evil plan coming together? We'll talk that after this.
Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Before we get to the VIP text that's winning a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method, 690 St. Anne's Road. This texter says, Laine benched for third period against the Habs. Yeah, we discussed that thoroughly in the exclusive portion of the podcast.
On the podcast.
So just give it a download. Find it. Jets at noon, wherever you download your podcasts. Take a listen. VIP text is, good afternoon, guys. You mentioned putting Scheifele back on the fourth line once Vilardi comes back. I was wondering if you shouldn't put him on the second line and move Nino back to third and Tanev to the fourth.
I could see Tanev going down to the fourth, Nino to the third for sure.
Scheifele's been real good, but I kind of like him back on the fourth line. Like I just like him adding that wrinkle to that line and some more offense to it.
As great as Scheifele's played and his style, Gabe Vilardi is the same style and plays even has more skill.
Yeah, but we're talking about the last change and all that, and being able to bring a guy like Scheifele out in those situations, I think is great. Yeah. So thanks for that text message. What was the winner's name there? Forte? I think it was Theodore.
That's correct. Theodore.
Theodore. Congratulations, Theodore. Miss your chance to get your thoughts on the show today. Call the Boston Pizza Jets at Noon hotline. Open 24/7, 204-780-6800. Celebrate at Boston Pizza, Canada's go-to place for the playoffs. The number one caller will be awarded a $50 gift certificate to Boston Pizza tomorrow.
Real quick, Ken Weeb's feats on the ground in St. Louis said no confirmation from Blues head coach Jim Montgomery about whether he plans to go back to 12 forward 6D, but following the breadcrumbs, Alex Texier looks like he could be drawing in up front, and defenseman Ryan Suter stayed out much later than normal, so he might be a healthy scratch tonight. Kelly Moore in the pregame show, 6 p.m. We'll have all the details.
Puck drop after 8:30. Dallas and Colorado. Tyler Seguin setting the game, putting his team ahead. They win 2-1, taking a 2-1 series lead. Next game still in Denver, going exactly as the Winnipeg Jets planned it. It's going to 6 or 7.
3 games. 2 of them have gone to overtime. Get it to 6 or 7. Have 2 more overtime games.
Colorado wins the next one. Goes back to Dallas, tied 2-2.
I mean, Dallas is up 2-1 with no Jason Robertson or Miro Heiskanen.
Yeah.
This is good. Like, let it drag out. The minute they go to overtime, like, that's what the Jets want. Now the Jets got to take care of their own business. I'm not getting ahead of myself, but let that series drag out. Play some extra hockey.
We're not watching it.
Beat the wheels off each other.
No one's paying attention to it at all. Jim Toth, take you all the way until 2 o'clock. Thank you very much, Jeffrey Fortier, for producing the show. It's it for me back same time tomorrow. See ya.